So welcome to the latest installment on the series of happiness. Today's topic is about balance. We all try and find that happy balance in life. We face pressures, we face stress. How do we find that happy balance? That's what we're going to explore today. Today's guest, Mr. Neville Fredericks, is a prominent businessman, former mayor of Kiama, as well as the leader of the Satya Sai organisation. Welcome, Neville.
Pleasure to be with you, Peter.
Thank you. Neville, today's topic is balance. It's a subject that's very relevant in today's world. We face pressure, we face stress, whether it's the corporate life or family. You're known to be a man with a great level of balance. What's your secret behind it? How did you find that sense of balance?
Well, I guess it comes from a lifetime experience, a lifelong experience actually. And I've led a very busy life, and I've been in business for almost 50 years. I've actually run businesses.
Okay.
And I found up until age 40 that I had a great degree of success in my business and in political life and in our community. I had a very prominent position. But I didn't find true happiness, and my life really wasn't in balance. But following some quite radical changes that occurred in my life, I found that I'm much happier, and that life is more balanced for me, and I don't get disturbed easily. I'm able to face challenges with a high degree of equanimity. Now, we talk about finding balance, but the challenge is, what are the things that lead us to getting that balance?
Yeah, so like what you mentioned is that it's a lifetime. It's been a journey for you across a lifetime. So it seems that it's not something that just developed overnight. Walk us through a bit of that journey.
Well, I guess firstly, I've come to believe that to find balance in life, you really need to develop a very robust personality. Robust in the sense that you have to believe in yourself very deeply.
Right.
When you believe in yourself, you are not easily knocked off course, that you can welcome criticism, whether it's fair or unfair, and you can analyse it. Now, if you're uncertain of yourself and you lack confidence, then you will have a reactive personality. Yes. So the challenge is to develop your personalities to a point where you're very calm and you have deep confidence in yourself. Now, the next question is, how do you arrive at that point?
Yes.
What's the next thing you have to do to get that deep confidence that allows you to remain very calm in all circumstances and have a balanced personality, a personality that's not reactive? For me, this question of developing self-confidence and developing a belief in yourself actually comes back to your personal conduct.
Right.
If you live in harmony with your conscience, and
right.
then there's no basis on which you have to doubt yourself. That gives you a great inner strength, and I've found that after a lot of analysis, that having that belief in my inner self, and I might add, I've come to the conclusion also that it is essential to have a deep belief in other personalities, other people around you. There may be wrong action through lack of knowledge.
Yes.
But if you believe deeply in the inner goodness of people and accept that wrong action is only through lack of knowledge, then you don't have judgmental feelings, and you're able to look at everything, all of the things that are happening around you in a very balanced way. If you have a particular problem or a challenge, we say, I think I'll sleep on it.
Yes.
And in the morning you wake up with a clearer mind on what to do.
You've made a link there between conscience and self-confidence. It's a link that, you know, I'm just starting to think of in my mind how that comes to be. Following your conscience, you think of, you know, doing what is right, you know, maybe not telling a lie, doing something that you believe is consistent with that conscience. How does that give you that strong personality which would give you the balance required? Is it something that you just need to follow for a day? Like,
well, oh no, you have to live this.
yeah.
I think the solution here is to develop a sensitivity to your conscience. Now it's
Right.
very subtle,
Yes.
and we have a saying: if you have a particular problem or a challenge, we say, I think I'll sleep on it.
Yes.
And in the morning you wake up with a clearer mind on what to do. Now really what's happened, you've had time, your mind has had time to connect with your conscience, which is very subtle, and you get that clarity.
Yes.
So the first thing is that you have to concentrate on fostering a sensitivity to conscience.
Okay, so that you can start to understand, hear it, the signals that it does
Yes.
give you.
And I mean, I grew up in a Christian household, and I obviously took on Christian values through my family. They were very strong and robust. But over time, I've become very interested in other religions, and particularly the Hindu faith, and other Eastern philosophies, the teachings of Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher.
Yes.
And I've found that they've all given me a deeper understanding of my own faith, the faith in which I grew up in. Now, the Eastern philosophy says that the spirit is within, and we understand generally, and most cultures understand, the word inspired. We know that if someone is inspired,
Yes.
that they're highly motivating, they pursue higher ideals, and they make great leaders because they're inspired. But look at the origin of inspire. In spirit. That's its origin. It comes from being inspirited.
Yes.
Now, it's that inner source of strength that we all talk about. That all of the great faiths talk about, this inner strength, the God within. I find that understanding my own inherent goodness, I'll make errors, but if I understand my own inherent goodness and believe in that, and when I'm talking to you, I believe in your inherent goodness, now that really transforms the way one looks at life. It's a
Yes,
very...
Dynamics start to change.
It totally changed,
Yes.
because you can look at life and remain calm in all circumstances, and you strive to keep calm in all
Yes.
circumstances, but in most circumstances. And I've found that philosophy of looking, understanding how I feel. You know how the hand falls on the heart,
Yeah.
and we say, you know, I felt in my heart
I
that.
felt, yeah.
Yeah, it was a heartfelt thing. I've come to believe that what you feel is far more significant than what you think.
Interesting. When you have troubles, you point here.
Yes, so you say it's mine,
Yeah.
or who owns this? I do.
Yeah.
And the hand falls to the heart. Now, we don't say it's mine.
No,
I
you
mean-
say, oh gosh.
You know, that's when you've got a load of problems,
Yeah.
or you're doubting yourself or something. You say it's mine. Now, if you look to the great spiritual teachings and the religious scriptures, you will find that they all say that the spirit, the soul centre is in the vicinity of the physical heart.
Yes.
And that is the source of the goodness in your personality, resides in every human being. It's the source of your strength, your ability to love in all circumstances. Now, this is, to me, has been a revelation, and it's been such a beautiful thing to live life in this mindset, knowing the truth of my being is not my mind, which is just a jumble of desires, but actually it's my soul centre, which is in the vicinity of the physical heart.
So when we, when we come up with some of the challenging situations, I probably can come up with two just on the top of my head. One is your home, and the second is, the work environment. You see on the papers every day, redundancies, job cuts. People are uncertain of their future. That tends to throw them out of balance, and in the home, things are not always harmonious in the home. So how can we take a little bit about what we've discussed about your inner life, about the inspiration, about the conscience? How do we take that knowledge and learning into a pressure situation, either at home or work, and how do we start to see that coming through even in the most troubling times?
Well, this is really putting that philosophy to test.
Yes.
I mean, this is what we're all facing in life. I mean, in my life, I've made a fortune in my business and lost a fortune twice.
Right.
And so I've seen the ups and downs, and that's all helped me to stay calm now.
When you're in it, how does it?
Well, I think it's part, the belief system is important. I guess, and maybe I might be outside the square here a little, Peter, where I feel that to a large degree we create our own life experience through our personal conduct. But that's also tempered by the fact that we have a thing called destiny. And I think that if I can get back to that statement, we create our own life experience.
Yes.
If I hold my mind in a state of anger and I approach you, inescapably the state of my mind is reflected on my face.
Yeah.
You can see that I'm angry.
Yes.
If I approach you when I'm happy, my mind is in a happy state, inescapably that will show on my face.
Yeah.
So if I'm an irritable-minded person, wherever I go, I've got irritability on my face, and that will be reflected back to me. And wherever I go in the world, I will see irritability.
Yes. Okay.
Whereas I can change that by having a positive outlook, and a happy outlook, and a benevolent outlook towards other people. And I think this is profoundly important in life. Challenges will come. That is inevitable in life. It's part of the condition of life, that things change and we build up a bit of stability and suddenly the foundation is pulled away for whatever reason. And this can be very challenging. But I think that very challenge itself is an opportunity for growth.
Yes.
It's not until you face those challenges that you actually develop strength to resist and manage the next challenge much more effectively. It's as though you have to suffer a little before you find you find your ability to observe that it wasn't as bad in the end as that you might have worried about. Just be the observer and do your best. Now, I've come to the conclusion that in life that my critic is my best friend.
Right.
And my flatterer
I suppose that gets me thinking, when we start to get out of balance, what are some of the initial signs that we can start to see before we are totally off center? What are some of those initial signs that you can see, okay, well, I'm going down towards, down a certain track. How can we pick it up early?
Well, firstly, if we're in happy circumstances with people of like mind and everything's going well and no challenges, that's a rather easy circumstance to manage.
Yes.
But when we're challenged or provoked or actually attacked by others, these things happen in life. The moment you find yourself getting irritated and being reactive, you know that you haven't played your part well in this circumstance. Now, I've come to the conclusion that in life, that my critic is my best friend.
Right.
And my flatterer is my worst enemy. The flatterer blows up my ego.
Yes. I'll try not to.
and puts me at risk of making error.
Yeah.
But the critic causes me to self-analyze.
Yes.
And I might look at those criticisms, and I might find that there is some substance in the criticism, and I've got an early warning about to correct them, or I might find there's no substance in them. So if you're reacting and being defensive to a critic, you know you've got it wrong.
Yeah.
But if someone's criticising you, you say, okay, you're telling me that I did so and so. Yes. Are there any other matters that concern you about my conduct? You actually go searching.
That will throw them off.
It does. It actually transforms the person. I've tried that time and time again. It actually transforms the other person.
Have you gone through a criticism thrown at you?
Well, in my public life, I've had, it was pretty awful actually, some of it. And it was with the benefit of being criticised publicly, and I thought grossly unfairly at the time, and I was very upset. But it was through that crisis that I was going through at that time that I found my feet.
Yes.
And I found that balance in the end. So that I look back now and I'm very, very grateful for those critics.
Yeah, I mean, if you could
caused me to analyse my own conduct and whether it was true or not, and when time goes by you analyse, and I should not have been upset in these circumstances. So there's a lot of learning through life experience, and but really the critic, this is really important. The critic is your best friend.
Yes.
Your flatterer is your worst enemy. Because they're giving you, their flattery means they're falsely praising you. Quite often falsely praising you. So you have to be very careful when you're hearing that praise.
Yeah. And have you had a teacher in your life which has really shown you what balance is about, and taught you how to interpret these life situations where you could put a positive light to it?
Well, I think my first teachers were my parents. My parents were very beautiful people in the sense that in our household that I grew up in, I never heard any criticism of anyone.
Wow.
Now that was a beautiful environment to grow up in. But you go out into the world and you start hearing.
Yeah.
So they were my first teachers, and they were profoundly significant teachers for me. And it wasn't until I was in my early 40s that I came across the master Sathya Sai Baba, and I became intensely interested in his teachings, and I found the truth of his teachings were embedded in the Holy Bible and the Christian teachings, And it's very joyful to find this commonality. The values
which you
are the same at the core of all of the faiths.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect on the surface of it. India is a very different place, and to an upbringing in country Australia, and you could find those similarities at the core really touched you.
Well, you look at Christianity; they promote universal love and love of your fellow man, love of God, love of your fellow man. Righteous living, speaking the truth, non-injury, non-violence towards others. Now this is fundamental to the Christian religions and Jesus' teachings. But if you go into the Hindu faith, you will find the exact same thing. I mean, the eternal righteousness, dharma, it's the same message. Very strong non-violence, ahimsa, it's the same message. Right. And I think when it comes to, this is just an aside, when it comes to all of the faiths getting together, it's important that we don't look at those things which cause the faiths to be different from one another, but rather looking for those things which are common at the core. And you have, if we believe, if there's a common understanding, then it's very easy to find that sense of brotherhood. Yes. Birds of a feather flock together. If we all have a common understanding.
Is there anything you would like to just say in summary to everyone, just as what's one of the I suppose what's one of the simple message that we can look at balance? Just something that comes to mind that we might think, okay, so from tomorrow I might be able to do this differently.
Balance is the end of is the result of all of these things you have to do way back here, and it's really learning to live in harmony with your conscience. Develop that sensitivity to conscience.
Yes.
Take advice from as many people as you can, but in the end you have to act in accordance with your conscience. And in fact, I like one of Sai Baba's sayings is that any act which is contrary to your conscience is an act of violence against yourself, because it subtly erodes confidence in your own self and your own being. And it's on that basis that you start to become uncertain of yourself, and you're knocked off course easily, and you start reacting to criticism instead of welcoming it.
Yes.
And you've really lost balance.
Yes.
So
I think that's a great way to sum it up. And thank you for your time. And
pleasure, Peter.
Really been touched by what you've had to say, and I can see that strength come through from the heart. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think we might have a picture of the ideal person for us.
Yeah.
And that person's Mr. Right or Miss Right. And once we're with them, life will be perfect.
Yeah.
And in fact, it doesn't happen. Because in a relationship, we have to give a lot in order to have happiness. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
And we have to, in fact, I think a lot of the secret of happiness in relationships is about giving.